This is an SEO site clinic, so if you guys want to have your sites reviewed, we need you to bring up business cards, and the site that you want reviewed has to actually be on the business card.
That's so you can't rat out your competitors?
Yeah, some people will come in and say a site is theirs when it's not theirs, trying to get them into trouble, so.
But we don't have any search engine reps here, do we?
No.
All right. Well, game on then.
I haven't heard.
There's no point in doing it then.
I can't get any of my bookmarks, guys.
Yeah, but I'm not supposed to. Business card, that's the site.
Well, it matches his name.
Awesome. Get ready to step forward.
I can't get the stupid thing to download without trying to go to Chrome.
Fucking shit.
All right, guys, so we're going to start now. Sorry about that. So we're doing an SEO site clinic today. I'm doing well this morning. We're doing an SEO site clinic today, so what we're going to do is take a look at your sites, try and give you some advice SEO-wise. Just as an FYI, you guys are here to figure out what's wrong with your sites, so don't feel bad if we rip into them. We're not going to tell you what's right with them. We're going to tell you what's wrong with them. Over to the left is Greg Boser. Greg, which company is it now?
Three Dog Media, I think.
So Greg Boser of Three Dog Media, Michael Gray, who's known online as Grey Wolf, and Michael Streko, who owns Noam.com, and I'm Ray Hoffman. I go online mostly by Sugar Ray. So with that, we're going to get started. Did you pick a site?
Yeah. The top one.
Top one?
Top one.
All right. Who owns SweetieSweeps.com?
What is it?
Sweetie Sweets?
Do we have a handheld microphone?
Oh, look, mine worked. Yours didn't work.
I try and buy that one.
Check.
What? Wait, oh. Okay, yeah, I just went, I'll go, okay, thanks.
Greg, what code did you use on here?
The one on the back of the
It's not,
ticket.
it's not let me fucking put it in.
ASW10, oh, wait,
You guys have it up there?
ASW10 Vegas? I do. You don't.
No, I'm looking
at the
at
right address.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do, no, go straight to the home. Just
Oh,
go
no, I have the wrong.
Sweeps with a P.
Oh, I thought it was sweet.
sweeps.
I was wondering what you guys, sorry, I'm like looking over at the screen. They do not have the same website as me.
Hold on, I'm on the wrong site.
Greg, you wanna tell me what that strange little hashtag is? I need to figure
ASW10? What? What hashtag?
2 S's. It was 2 of us that did that. I definitely recommend buying the other domain name.
Sweeties Sweeps.
There you go. Now,
Got
look
it?
at that, the hashtag.
Who did that?
Okay.
I'm gonna let one of you technical guys give that explanation. Just so you don't even know why it's happening? Yeah, well good, you gave us something we don't see every day. Sorry guys, it takes us a second to look at it. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna tell you is from an SEO standpoint is get your CSS and your JavaScript into an external file and call it from there, because you've got tons of CSS code before the search engines ever get to any actual content on your page. Wow.
Okay.
Oh, that's JavaScript. There we go.
Your 404s are not throwing the correct type of error code. You're throwing a 400, which means a bad request. They'll probably handle it the same, but if you want to be, super clean, check your error codes, they should throw a 404.
How do I do that?
That's probably a server configuration. If you have someone who's a technical person, just mention they should make sure it shows a 404. If not, talk to the hosting company. They should do it.
Blogger.
It's Blogger.
Is the site's on Blogger? Okay, I would change that.
Yeah, I know, you don't have to tell me.
Okay, so first rule of thumb, if you're doing any serious kind of sites that you are relying on revenue, I would suggest not running on any kind of hosted service, because for example, you might not have the ability to fix that 404, depending on how they're set up. I'm also real curious about this random hashtag thing that's showing up and where that came from. It probably does, because when I'm looking at the header code, I'm seeing somewhere, I thought I saw, 302, and I haven't seen that on any other Blogger site, so you might want to ask. So what's happening is that's no longer the same URL, right? And I don't know if that's getting randomly generated every time the page loads and the code's different. So it's kind of like when you have an affiliate string, and if you're a merchant and you allow your affiliate IDs to get indexed, it creates duplicate copies of your page. And now what happens, if people copy and paste and link to that, every person that puts a link to your site is using a different URL in theory. So that can definitely be why you don't show any visible page rank anymore. You would be able to make that not happen, yeah. You would have control over that. So, and the trick is to really kind of go and look and see, if you actually have links built to that tag and find out. I don't know if that's a question for Blogger. Do you have a tech person that? You're the tech person. So you didn't do anything to make that happen? It just started happening. That's also on Blogger?
What is the computer lady online? Is that you also? All right. Yeah.
How many sites do you have? How many of them are linked to each other? How many of them are linked to each other?
I don't think it's on. Oh, is it on? Okay, sorry. I don't really know how they're interlinked, because I use a lot on the computerladyonline.com. I use that to store my photos, and then I will.
Right, but of the 30 sites that you own, how many of them do you cross-link?
I don't really have. I don't know. I know the 5 I definitely cross-linked.
Okay.
But I'm trying to take some of the links off. Some of it, I am using them for backlinks, and
So you need to switch. If you want to use a blogging platform, you need to switch to WordPress.
Okay.
Go to Google and do a search for WordPress SEO. The first thing that's going to come up is an article on yoast.com, yoast.com. It pretty much will tell you exactly how to alter WordPress so that you don't have any SEO problems with it.
Okay. Is it a simple way to copy if you have a Blogger blog to WordPress without
Well,
taking?
you export it from Blogger and then
Well,
import
I know how
it
to
into
export
WordPress.
the file. I know how to export the data, but the template, then you have to get a whole new template, and then
Yeah,
and then I have all kinds of stuff embedded into the HTML. Like I'll put AdSense above the post title, below the post title. Is that something that you can do in WordPress?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You can just copy the HTML directly over.
Well, you've got a monkey with it when you move it over,
Yeah.
but you can generally get it
and you
almost
still have to
identical.
like parse the HTML.
Yeah.
Question for you. What the magazine widget?
Which one?
It's called the magazine widget.
Okay. I'm not using
How
it.
long ago did you place that on your site?
It's part of that template, and it's supposed to be a lot of bloggers that use this template. It's at the top. It'll show like a picture, and then it'll scroll through or something, and I don't use it.
Right.
I made a static gadget on the homepage with just text.
If you don't use it, my best advice for you is remove it.
Remove the
Pull
code?
it out of the code.
Oh, the
Because
code.
it's weighting down your page even more. I mean, that's a
Oh, it
lot
is?
of Java code for something you're not using.
Oh, okay. And is Java running my drop downs on the top? Because when you hover over Start Here Sweeps, those are drop downs, and they're HTML.
Nah,
they're
that looks
lists.
like straight CSS.
Okay, because on like certain versions like Internet Explorer, they won't show. They show really odd looking configuration. They don't drop down. So
With that hashtag, has there been anything recently that you've installed that would have brought that up?
Now, this ad over here is, for FiLife, is a paid ad. Someone, paid to put that ad on my site, and they asked me to put a little piece of HTML code so they could track it. But that was just within the last week, and that hashtag has been showing up for the last month or so.
How many paid advertisers do you have that you're linking directly to?
Yeah, I don't do that. That's like a real paid I don't do paid links, so
Okay.
I don't have stuff like that.
What do you do with
Wait,
your
can we just back up one second? You don't do any creative advertising with some of the poker things? I'm just asking,
No.
okay.
No.
You're good.
What do you do with your expired sweepstakes listings when they expire? What do you do
They
with them?
stay.
So they just stay on the site?
Right, yeah. Because people refer to them after they've won a prize or something. They want to go back and maybe check the official rules, so I have everything listed on the site. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, because I would take the ones that end, leave them up for a certain amount of time, but there's no reason you need to look at a sweepstakes that happened 3 years ago. So when you're give it like 6 months after it expires, and then 301 the link to either the home page or to the root category page for whatever type of sweepstakes it is, so that you can transfer the link popularity to the main category page, so that your new sweepstakes listings will rank better in the search engines, because they'll be stronger. It's better than just leaving dead pages.
Well, my site's only a year old, so you're saying 3-year-old things that I should take off.
Right, well, I'm saying at 6 months. I would take them down after
6
6 months,
Okay.
and 301 them to the
Because
root
people
category.
do, sometimes, as far as this site, when someone wins a prize, or if they don't get the prize, they come back and they'll refer to what I've written. Sometimes they need the rules, that's kind of why I just keep them up there, though.
Okay, you run a lot of ad networks on your site, and one of the bad things about that is that affects your load time. I just popped you through a speed test. On a T1, your homepage takes 30 seconds.
Okay.
That's too long. Speed is going to really become a bigger issue in 2010. Google's kind of hinted at that. Even if they haven't, 30 seconds for a homepage is really long.
And one thing that Google's doing a lot of that's very interesting is that, in Webmaster Tools, they'll give you information on the speed of your site and how it's, what they're doing is, we have a large client that has a redirect when they link out to merchants, and the redirect is from their own domain. So the link looks like it's to an internal URL, but the redirect takes a while to take place. So Google is taking data from the toolbar from users and tracking how long it takes for a page to respond, and they're downgrading the performance of that site based on what is really an off-site link. And the only place they can get that really is from the toolbar data. So they are tracking when people are on your site clicking on stuff. If something hangs and takes a while to load, they get that information ultimately, and that will impact crawl frequency and things like that. So the main reason to get off Blogger too is Blogger embeds all your CSS and styles in the body of the page. And if you have one semicolon out of place, then you'll wake up one day and all your CSS is indexed and your description. So much can go wrong when you put JavaScript and CSS in the page. One tiny little error, and it'll trip the bot up and cause all kinds of problems. So you always want that stuff to be external files.
They'll load just as fast if it's in an external file?
It actually loads, the first page
Quicker.
loads the same time, but then the subsequent pages, it doesn't reload them all the time, so it will save you on subsequent pages.
Okay.
Because that file gets cached by the browser, so future loads of secondary pages will be even faster.
You're saying that because the CSS and the JavaScript is in the actual code,
Yeah, it gets
that
reloaded
it's
every
also,
page.
Google can't get to the content. It takes forever to get to the actual.
It takes it longer to find the real stuff that you want it to rank on the page. The other thing is that you have a really big problem with your internal linking structure. So you have right here, you've got the review of the Eureka cordless combo stick vacuum model, right? And you've got it in home product reviews, and reviews. But you block everything in your robot's text that has search in the URL string. All your categories have search in the URL string. So the problem is that Google's coming to your main page, it's indexing your main page, but it can't index any of your category pages. So as soon as the listings drop off the main page and they're just in the category page, they can't get to them because they can't crawl the category pages. So you've got all of this internal link popularity going to the category pages. You have the category pages is the only way to get to certain sweepstakes listings, but you don't let Google crawl the category pages.
And is that because of Blogger or the template?
No, it's because you've put a robot's text in here that says that it can't see any page. See that right up there? That tells any robot that they are not allowed to crawl any URL that has search in it.
Okay, I think that came from the template because I didn't put that there.
All right, yeah, so get that out of there, because you're basically, what you're doing is you've got everything in a category. So like I said, the search engines can't find half the content on your site, and you're distributing a lot of links to your home product reviews, your product reviews, and your reviews. My other question would be is why are there those 3 categories?
Why are there what?
Why, like home product reviews, and reviews, it doesn't seem like they need 3 separate categories.
I don't know.
Like I would imagine just reviews would
I
work.
don't know. That's not my main site, so I don't know. I don't. Right.
Yeah, sorry, it's like that, the main site too, so. That's what happens when Google goes,
Okay.
it's finding all of your URLs, but it can't crawl it. It has no idea what's on those pages because you've told it that it can't look at those pages.
But if I change it to WordPress, then it might clear a lot of my problems up.
Well, yeah, if you change it to WordPress, but you need to make sure that you change the robots text file. Well, it wouldn't come up with search for WordPress anyway, so it would change it by default because the URL structure is going to be different with WordPress. But either way, just like when you go home, kill that robots text file. Just get it off there.
Could I see the code again? Or
Yeah,
line?
it's robots.txt.
Oh, okay. I just have to take that line out.
I'm sorry?
I just have to take that line or that one.
It's a file. It's going to be when you
Yeah, just take
FTP
that one
in, there'll
line
be
out
a
of the
file
file.
that says robots.txt. You just need to delete. Well, you don't need to delete that. You need to delete the line that says disallow/search.
Right.
Leave the robots text there.
I will do that later today.
You don't seem to be doing too much with the Twitter stuff. I know there's at least 2 of us on this panel that agree that Google uses some of these signals to help crawl. You've got about 2,800 followers, and you're not getting a lot of retweets. You're probably getting maybe 5, 6, a dozen. You can do a lot more with this kind of stuff. There's a lot bigger active community. I think there's just a lot of ways to, get people pumping and retweeting your stuff. I think that's, that'll help you get stuff.
I don't have that many followers on Twitter because that was not my main Twitter account. The Swag Twitter account has 5,700, and they tend to. So I have 3 different Twitter
Okay,
accounts.
if you're cross-promoting and you're getting them retweeted other places, that's fine, but I'm just thinking there's a lot of
I haven't
indication.
spent a lot of time doing the Twitter promotion too much.
Yeah, you're going to find in the next year, when the caffeine thing completes, that Twitter is going to be huge as far as a signal. It already is. We already see examples of blog posts and stuff jumping up dramatically based on retweet activity. They're now pulling data directly from Twitter, so they're not even scraping it from the front side anymore because they have a deal with Twitter. So,
Well, and additionally, everybody that clicks on your link from Twitter sends data to the Google toolbar, right? So they get those signals that way as well. So once they know the page has traffic, they'll start to push it up in the search engines. It's like we call it like a freshness factor. So essentially, you need to switch to WordPress. Go do the WordPress SEO. When you create your new template, get your JavaScript and your CSS off the page. I would actually say, like, to be honest with you, I would use Thesis as a template. It costs $80 to buy the template, but from an SEO standpoint, it'll solve you a lot of problems, and it's a lot easier to modify.
What template was it?
It's called Thesis. It's at DIYthemes.com.
Right.
Go ahead and make sure that you delete that line from your robot's text, and I've got to move.
Just
Go
one
ahead.
more, really quick. Are you selling links off the site?
Selling links, no.
All right.
I do. I think I have 2 links I sold.
All right.
Just 2.
I would bet why you drop down in page rank is because of the poker link on the bottom of the page.
Oh, at the bottom of the page.
That's a blatant flag.
Whoops.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was asking about the poker before.
nothing wrong with poker.
No, nothing wrong, but the fact that there's a blatant play poker link at the bottom of the page would probably be a flag because you're not a poker-related site, so
Okay.
Google's going to kind of kick into its head. It's
So if I actually change maybe that keyword.
I would
kill the link.
I would,
I don't
It's
know how
not-
much revenue
the
it's
money that you're
generating for you.
making-
And that can happen just from one link?
Yep.
Yeah, easily.
Especially if it's the poker or diet pills or porn.
Yeah, and trust me, the money that you're making off of that link probably won't equal what you could be making if your page is more indexed and you were off of the PR0.
Okay, great. And the other ads that you see on my site, do you see anything wrong with having like AdSense under the post title?
I mean, if you want to play in Google's playground, my best advice to you is do what Google says. Use the rel equals no follow link on your advertisements.
Trust me, there's nobody on this panel that agrees with the fact that Google should be able to tell you can't sell that poker link.
But, yeah.
But unfortunately, it's their playground, their rules. So
Right, but if I
they
just
will
put the
ding you
rel
for it.
no link in that, I could just leave it there because they already paid me.
Yeah, you could, but they're probably going to come
Rel
back. and
equals no
complain.
follow.
Yeah.
They're
I'll
gonna,
wait till they come back.
they
That's
won't,
not
they won't
very
be renewing.
nice.
Yeah, they won't be renewed.
They won't be renewing.
No, that's fine with me.
Who is John McNamara? Which site is it that we want to
Tropicalventure.com.
Tropical-adventure.com.
You can put the dash or no dash.
Why would I'm just curious as to why you would use the dash over the no dash if you own the no dash.
I had the domain for 10 years until I just put the dash. I was gonna use it for something else, for a blog.
So you own both.
What's that?
You own it with and without the dash?
But he's got the whole site up on both of them.
Yeah.
It's
you're-
not redirecting,
You're
so.
you're contenting hard right now.
Yeah.
You also got the canonical issue with www.
Yeah, so first things first, the tropical-adventure.com, like use it all you want, but 301 it to tropicaladventure.com because tropicaladventure.com is the older site.
You actually,
you have
technically,
four
you have 4 copies of your site right now being indexed by the search engines. You have tropicaladventure.com with no www. You have tropical-adventure.com with no www, and then you have both the sites with the wwws.
So what you need to do is you need to take the entire tropical-adventure.com domain because it's the new one, 301 it to the tropicaladventure.com, and then you need to do a global 301 redirect for any request that it doesn't include the www in it, that it'll automatically redirect to the www version. Just do a search on Google for redirects to fix canonical issues.
Okay.
Now there is a way to do that in Google Webmaster Central, but everybody up here is going to tell you to do it yourself.
You
and
should
not
do
rely
it for
on
yours.
Google to
You
it.
do it for other engines too. There's not just Google.
All right, off the start.
So which one should we look at?
What is nontoxicsoap.com, enviro-1.com, and bionicgold.com?
Non-toxic soap, where is that?
View page source? He might have had a hack.
I'm trying. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a Mac person, so this is hard here. What am I looking for?
View page source, scroll down to the very bottom.
Okay.
And you'll see there's in the category of legal.
Just give me the word in it.
Just go to span class equals legal. Search legal. Legal. Just legal.
Okay. Cool. There you go. Yeah. What are these sites that you're linking to?
It's my webmaster. I don't know if he stuck that in there somehow.
All right, so
Fire him.
fire him now. Your
Fire him.
webmaster's hiding links on your site.
Say it again?
Your webmaster is hiding links on your site.
So basically, you're paying him, and then he's making money by selling links on your site and hiding them, which puts you at
Awesome.
risk in the search engines. So.
You must not be paying him properly.
I love it. I love it. What they're doing, what your webmaster is doing with these links is he's basically pulling up a linked image with a width and a height of 1 by 1 pixel, and then pushing
That's
the
so
link juice.
1998.
That's so old school. That is so old school.
Man, it's so great.
So he hid his links in there on the bottom somehow.
Yeah.
So getting back to the 301 thing, so your site doesn't rank for Florida vacations because that's super competitive and you're going up against Expedia.
Actually, so this is a strange thing. I'm looking at this right here. He actually ranks top 50 for Florida vacations, but it's with the Dash version, which is the new version.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's in there. Do a search for Tropical Dash.
Because you're number 1 for Florida tropical vacations with the dash. So even though people prefer a non-dash, at least for the search engines, I'd 301
leave
everything
the dash
to the
now.
hyphenated one because it already does well. You could test that the other way around and see if you can replace the non-dash with it, but if it doesn't, then I would do it back. Sometimes we do things where we let the bot index it on one URL and humans view it on the other. That gets into some gray areas sometimes, but from a user experience, sometimes that can work. Are you really on there
Okay.
for Florida vacation?
You run in a link exchange directory?
No.
Is
Come
a
here.
webmaster who's inserting links running a link exchange directory? Because there's a link exchange directory here.
I don't see it for Florida vacations. Maybe I'm getting the Mac results. I don't know.
Pull up the page exchange.shtml.
That's not yours, right?
No.
Okay,
No.
just making sure.
No. No.
Now, here's the thing. So when I'm doing a search for tropicaladventure.com without the dash, it's giving me tropical-adventure.com. Tropicaladventure.com isn't even indexed.
I'm getting pages from both.
So it's basically Google's already decided for you, like what Greg's saying is that Google has already decided for you that tropical-adventure.com is the site they consider the real site. So in this case, only because that's what Google thinks, you want to send the non-dash to the dash with the 301 redirect.
Okay.
And that's actually probably going to...
But here's the thing. So if you go to Yahoo and do a link query, Yahoo gives you 672 results for the hyphenated domain with the www. and about 273 results without. So when you make it, in general, Google will figure it out. They do a pretty good job nowadays, but still to this day, we run across situations where a site will have 2 separate page ranks because they haven't consolidated those versions. So you have 273 links pointing to your site without the www, and you want to make sure that you tell all search engines that, hey, this is the same site as Wish, so you definitely want a 301.
Hold on. There are actually 6 versions of your site. So you also own Florida-adventure.com, which is tropicaladventure.com, and it has canonical issues too. So you need to 301 redirect that domain to the tropical-adventure.com as well.
All right, just from a user perspective, as Michael tells ready to pull something up, the bottom of your page with the Florida keys and the travel stories being all links all out over, you're freaking the spider out. Definitely.
Really?
Yeah, because that's a lot of information and a lot of links on your homepage. I would pull that down and try to categorize it. Just have a link to Florida stories. Don't try to push juice to all these pages off your main source. You're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot.
Okay.
Now,
Okay, so the other thing is too is that your Florida-adventure.com has a bunch of links going to it too. So the other thing is that you're going to find once you 301 redirect the Florida-adventures and the tropical adventure without the dash to the new one, you're going to get a boost from that too, and the main site's going to rank better. Because right now what you're doing is you're building links to all 3 sites, and so it's splitting the link popularity. So this is going to allow you to consolidate it so that the one site, which is the only site that it's recognizing as a site it considers worth ranking anyway, has all the power from all the links. So that's like the first thing you want to do when you go home is 301 redirect these domains in.
No, first thing you want to do is fire your webmaster.
Yeah, well, fire the webmaster.
he owes you some money. But I want to talk about some positive stuff too, because we spent a lot of time being very negative on these panels. So I'm looking at your backlink profile, and the one thing that I will say you got going for you positively is that the sites that I'm seeing are all focused on Florida. Now, I don't know, maybe these are your sites and you run a network of sites, but you have links from dolphinworld.org, skydivekeywest.com, Ocala Carriage. So the flyfishingflorida.com. Do you have a business? Are these your sites? Do you run a network of sites like that?
I started a directory about 10 years ago with this, so that's why we did a lot of cross-linking.
Okay, so they get listed in your directory and you link back. So from an algorithmic standpoint, that's a good-looking profile because your link is showing up on other sites that are about Florida. So contextually, that's a good thing to have. Even if you're the one controlling the network, you're not going to run into a situation where your site's getting flagged because you have a poker link on a site that has absolutely no other references to the word poker or gambling on it anywhere. So that's a good strategy.
The other thing is too is you have a free link exchange page that's actually titled Free Link Exchange. So I'm assuming that they're all Florida hotels and Florida restaurants and Florida shopping, and so it's actually a relevant. It seems like it's a relevant directory. But stop calling it a link exchange, and don't make it seem like anybody can get a link on there. Like, go out and do the footwork to exchange the links yourself, instead of having that page there.
Okay.
I have a quick question. You said there were a lot of links on the page. Is there a maximum number of links that you should have?
I mean, that's going to be 2 aspects. One, there is like a rule of thumb that allegedly Google stops indexing after 150 or 100 or 150, but also for a user experience. I mean, you're not going to get a user who's going to say, oh wow, look, travel stories. Let me scroll down to the bottom of the page and look at every single one of these individual names and then click on one.
Well, the other thing too is your internal linking structure, right? So the general theory is that your home page is typically your strongest page on the site, right? So the home page, you got to look at it like a glass of water, right? And every link that you have on the page is like a hole in the glass of water. So if you have 150 holes there, then each hole is barely getting any water coming out of it, right? So you've got to go, you want to take your home page, which is typically going to be your strongest page, have it linked to your most important pages, which would be your main subcategory, your main categories, and then have that link to the next most important pages. So kind of funnel it down. There's something you can do a search online for something called a theme pyramid, and that's typically how you should do. Sorry, but
Slow down.
Breathe.
Pause in between those words there.
I'm exhausted.
it's called a theme pyramid. Do a search for theme pyramid, and then Webmaster World after it, and it'll bring up the article, and there's like a graph in there, and it basically shows you in like a graph form what it is that I'm talking about. So you just want to make sure that you put as much power to the stronger pages, basically the pages that need to rank for the more competitive keywords. They need more juice. So like Florida travel and Florida vacations is going to need a lot more juice to rank than mountain biking in Aruba, because that's something that's much more specific.
Yeah, a final thing about off-page links, outbound links, is there's two things. Number one, Google does look at who you link to, and I always frame it in the sense that
You guys are such jerks.
your outbound links are your ability to tell Google what community you feel your site belongs with. So you do want to link out to other sites that are related to your topic. But more importantly than the number of links is the text to link ratio on the page. If you have a sitemap that's just a bunch of UL bulleted list of hyperlinks and there's no supportive text to go with that, that page will never show visible page rank, and it'll be pretty much worthless. If on the other hand you structure that same page with a little paragraph of descriptive text about each site, and you have a lot of good content in with those links, then the number of links becomes less of a problem, and you can get that page to rank well. So how you structure directory kind of stuff like that can have a big impact on whether or not you get any organic mileage out of that page.
Who owns, where is Peter, I'm going to pronounce your last name wrong.
That's okay.
Whose website is that? Okay. I'm going to keep this card.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry?
You mentioned that he had a directory. He was trading links from the directory in order to get links to his Explorer page. Do you think that that's a strategy that has problems? Like, Google is bad?
It comes down to like a ratio, right? So if those are the only links you have, it's going to be a problem. Now that said, you're always going to have somebody that whines and says, well, my competitor has nothing but link exchanges and they rank, but the competitor site is 8.5 years old and those link exchanges are 8.5 years old. So. Free link exchange.
Really? You don't think that they can track the percentage of reciprocated links?
Hold on.
So they crawl your site, you link out to 250 sites, and you have 250 inbound links. That's not natural. That's not the way, quote unquote, real sites in Google's mind look. That's not what their link map looks like. Any site that Google deems quality, whether it's the Wikipedia or whatever, has far more inbound links than it does outbound links. And that's a metric you need to look at within your space. Now, what I would suggest with a directory like that is I would remove. It was very popular back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called
a
triangular linking.
So do me a favor. When you go home, go to a site called touchgraph.com. They have a free demo. Put a site in there, and what it actually does is it visualizes sites that are linking to each other, and you can actually see the little circles. It looks like triangles. Like you can visualize it. So if they can visualize it with a third-party service that they've built over the last few years, imagine the stuff that Google has in there to be able to try and visualize it. And so it all comes down to the ratio, right? If you've got 100% those types of links and you have a site that's less than 2 years old, you're not going to rank for competitive terms unless you start to get some other links bounce those out. I'm not saying those links are bad. That's why I said keep the directory. Stop calling it a link exchange because that just seems spammy, and make sure that you keep it tightly themed. But he's got to make sure that he has a bunch of other links coming in and not just those types of links. But go to touchgraph.com and you'll actually be able to put in a site and you'll be able to see it.
And if you require the link back in order to get listed in the directory, Google tends to kind of frown on that. Now, a lot of directories, obviously, it's good marketing to encourage or make available banners and buttons and things where people can link and say, hey, I'm in this directory. A lot of sites, Alltop is the one that always comes to mind because it's basically a link directory, and he hands out badges to everybody, and the mommy bloggers love to.
See, he's disguised it as a badge, so that's
right. But it's not a requirement. Like, they add sites that they think are good, and then they contact the sites and say, hey, you've been added to Alltop, you're special. Here's a badge to show everybody how special you are, and that badge then links back. So that's a little bit different than you'll be considered an SEO directory pretty much if admittance to the directory is based on you putting up a link first, and that can get you a little slack sometimes.
So what's a Canadian pardon service?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you do?
Move criminal records.
Well, I get
This is
that.
awesome. You can buy a Canadian pardon?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Wow.
In Canada, it's
You
a
have the
form.
www, non-www issue? Where is it?
I live in Canada, so that's why I was curious.
You can remove your criminal
you're so
record.
not Canadian.
It's just bureaucracy.
You have the www, non-www problem as well? Do you have two versions of your site out there?
We may have two versions, but with different phone numbers on it. We do it for testing.
But is the content on the pages the same, or is the content
Yes.
is the same? Then Google's going to consider it two different, they're going to say this is two versions, and they're going to choose one.
Is the reason that you're doing that for the tracking for kind of geolocation?
No, we're tracking the leads we generate through Google because we get a lot of phone calls, and we need to find out what percentage of the calls are coming in through Google, because obviously the advertising on Google doesn't necessarily work.
Right,
So if you want to do that, the better way is for you to keep track of the referrer and use that to build the page information.
Or even, you're doing this you're buying traffic off Google, like Google AdSense, and sending it to it. All right, the best advice that I would do is make separate landing pages for that, a one-off landing page with just the information with the phone call, and track it that way. You could set that up first through analytics and then also through your actual Google AdWords.
And make sure that you put it in a separate folder too and block the search engines from
Yes,
indexing that folder.
yes, and do a robots no index on all of the different pages that you do make. But for the way that you're testing it now, I'm actually looking, if you look at CanadianPardons.ca without the www and with the www, they still both have the same phone number, the same 800 number.
So the other thing is too, is you've got an 18-word title tag. I would pare that down some and just have it be the core keywords that you want to rank for.
There's also some services out there. We have a client that did some custom work. I think it's Who's Talking or one of the phone number tracking things, and where with our PPC we can serve a dynamic phone number for each actual search query. So we can have a single site and we can track it, all the conversion all the way from the ad click to the phone call at the call center, and know exactly what ad campaign and what keyword phrase. Those kind of systems are becoming more popular, and if you're really serious about doing ROI tracking on phone numbers, it's really the only way to go, because lead intakes through forms, you don't catch everything, and what drives somebody to pick up the phone and call can be a different keyword phrase than what somebody fills out a form. My other question to you is I'm guessing that your site's targeted towards Canadians.
Yes.
Are you using the feature in Webmaster Tools where you've designated that site for Canada only? And are you focusing on building Canadian-only links?
Yes, generally we do.
Because you really want to make sure, what you'll find with Google nowadays is that for a long time, Google did not look at the origin of the link that was linking to you. MSN and Yahoo did. So if I went out and I had a site that was for Canada, but I accidentally got a whole bunch of links on, I don't know, some abandoned blogs in Australia or something odd like that, I would all of a sudden only rank in Australian databases. So you want, if you've ever used Majestic SEO, probably the best link data service there is. And if you get an account there, you have to pay for the data, but it's reasonably priced, and they will show you breakdown by country so you can monitor and make sure that the sites that you think are Canadian are actually hosted on Canadian IPs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, ours is IP is on.
Well, I'm talking about the people that link to you. They need to be Canadian in the algorithmic sense of the word.
Also, I see you've got a French version of the site. Now, does the English page link to the French page?
No,
or does it only link from you when you go into it starts at the top and you've got to kind of start the tree?
He's got a whole separate thing, so what it is...
Well,
is
it's index-F is everything that's French
Yeah,
at the end.
underscore...
Right,
and he's only got
index-
it in the French
Right.
subfolder, but for some reason he doesn't have those pages in the French subfolder, which...
If someone comes in on a page in the middle for whatever reason and they want it in the other language, they've got to kind of go navigate through there. So just from a usability perspective, and then how you divide this up, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I just don't know that I would go with a folder kind of makes the most sense.
What's the last verdict on different... the last I heard, they said that they can pretty much tell that they're different languages and not
Yeah,
worry
they can
about
tell
it.
languages that
All right, well, because he does probably want the French version indexed, though, because
Right.
especially in Quebec.
Right, no, I agree that you do want the French version indexed. I'm just saying from a user perspective, if I happen to land there and, maybe I don't speak English or French, I'm not from Canada, and I don't know how many people speak both, but I'm just saying, what if the person wants to see it in the other language right away? Is there the way for them to get there? How you structure it, index F, if that's fine, wouldn't be my first choice, but if that's what you've got, that's what you've got. I would interlink the English and French pages, sort of the way you interlink a standard and a mobile site kind of deal. No, they have not been able to. Nope.
Not anymore. This isn't.
ClickPath is the company I was talking about for the phone stuff too. So if you want to contact them and talk to them about PPC tracking.
For your link building efforts, how are you going about that?
Well, we've hired a couple companies to.
All right. So the companies are blog spamming.
Yeah, that's.
That.
I'm looking at that right now. It's great. Fire the current company. And basically, if you guys are going out and you're looking to develop links, and somebody comes back to you and says that they'll develop links for you by finding quality blogs to comment on and quality forums, or if never mind, I was going to say something else, but it would be mean. Basically, don't use those types of services. Like, you need to go out and you need to get legit links, and it is expensive to find somebody who can do it legit, and it does take a while. But bottom line is that you're going to be safer in the engines, and you're not going to have to worry about hitting some automated filter that is then going to decide that you're blog spamming. Right now, you actually, and second off, for somebody who's blog spamming links, they're incredibly lazy.
Yeah.
Because you don't even have that many links. I mean, if you're just going to go out and spam blogs, you should have thousands of them.
Yeah, and the links that you do have, I would say 90% of your links are blog spam.
Spam is a harsh word. They could be follow comments.
Trash.
No, it does look like they're at least going out and trying to find blog posts where people are talking about Canadian records and things along those lines. The problem is that that's all they're doing. So eventually you're going to hit a really high concentration of nothing but blog comments as the links, and Google can tell that they're blog comments. So
they're also buying links on low
classified
income directories like the Ultimate Christian Resource.
That's what I'm doing. I'm looking at, trust me, we know the second we see certain types of link, basically, we do this a lot at conferences, and people will come up, and we had a guy who said, well, I don't buy links. I said, buddy, half your links are from radio stations. They're one of the biggest link sellers on the planet. He's, no, they're just linking to me. No, trust me, buddy, they're not just linking to you. There's certain types of sites that we can just tell by looking at them, like they're known networks or known link directories, or you can tell by a pattern.
See, we know all the people that sell the links, so typically when I see a page, I could probably pull out my phone and call the person that placed that link for you. But the thing is, the thing to understand really, especially when if you're doing affiliate related stuff, that your linking is about your risk tolerance and the market and the competitive space you're in. There's certainly a lot of affiliate stuff where commenting on blogs and what we call mass volume, low quality linking is very effective, and the whole entire space tends to be driven by that. And when you're in one of those spaces, your risk is not that high because everybody's doing it. On the other hand, if you're in a business and your average competitor's site is 10 years old and has 200 backlinks, and you show up like a bull in a china closet and go get 30,000 blog links, you'll stand out like a sore thumb, and your competitors will rat on you, and you stand a chance of getting slapped. So if you're going to engage in that kind of behavior, you need to, what we call, play on both sides of the fence, which means your primary branded domain, you don't do that kind of stuff. But if you wanted to go out and build out some microsites that, we call it churn and burn, the sites that you're okay with down the road, if they happen to take a hit, then that's a different thing. But you don't want to do that with your main brand.
Basically, anybody who does abuse the system and spam these types of comments, A, does it much smarter than this, and B, they won't whine if they get caught. They'll just throw out the next 10 domains. So the other thing is how can you tell domains like domain-link-exchange.com being in their backlinks is usually a sign.
Are you connected with freepardons.ca and americanpardons.com?
Yes.
Okay, you could make a legitimate business case for American Pardons. What's the difference between freepardons.ca?
Well, American Pardons is a separate
Yeah,
company.
right, I
Yeah,
got the
American Pardons is
American
fine.
part.
American
Yeah.
Pardons is fine.
Yes.
What's the other one?
Free Pardons is a free pardon evaluation. It's just a one-pager that's up there, and it's we get tons of traffic to it. Maybe 6,000 or 7,000 leads. It's organic as well.
Yeah, no, that is, I think that's a legitimate
Okay,
business case,
that's
so.
I'm just saying you don't link out to a lot of other places. You only seem to be linking out to half a dozen sites. That's why those two stood out.
Do you utilize social at all for this site?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Do you utilize any social media?
Yes.
All right. I mean, I'm just flipping through. I see some of your links come off of answers.yahoo.com. This would be very powerful for you because just doing a basic search, I've seen that there's a lot of questions regarding your service and what it's doing. So I would kind of try to man that daily and give answers. But don't give answers of being a sales pitch, just give answers as a reference.
The other thing too is instead of like blog spamming Canadian blogs, like do some type of piece on like the 5 most controversial pardons that have ever happened
Well,
in Canada, and then go out and find Canadian like geolocated blogs that talk about Canada and just tell them about the story. Don't ask them to link to it. Don't ask them to link to you with the anchor text free Canadian pardons. Just tell them about the story. It's a much better way to build links
Well,
than the way it's being
the
done
social
now.
stories on the American blog, one of the things you brought up is, Martha Stewart can't go to certain countries, say top 10 celebrities who can't go to these countries. That's the kind of thing, and the more surprising and shocking the celebrities you get, the better that's going to be.
I mean,
That's,
Or what's the craziest crime that somebody was the top 10 most absurd crimes in Canada that people were pardoned for? And I know in Canada it'd be really weird because they just would.
Right.
or put
I'm
people.
just saying. I love Canadians, but it would be like I read a story about a guy that wanted a pardon because his religion said he should be able to smoke all the pot he wants. And, just weird stories like that. That kind of stuff in social media goes crazy. The other thing about answers, I would say, is answers can be a great source for your own blog. So instead of replying on answers, what I would do is monitor the questions that come up and then write blog posts using those questions as if they were submitted to you directly, and then rewrite the answers with your own staff, and that stuff will rank really, really well.
You have opportunity for one of the greatest widget baits ever. All right. All you need to do is have a quiz of what country can I not get into. And how you would do that is you would have 15 questions about, have you done this, have you done that, have you done this, have you done that. Find shot out laws across different countries, put that into a quiz form, and then give people a badge, a Facebook widget.
I can't get into 13
Yeah, I've been banned in 43 countries kind of stuff.
And bottom line is for any of you guys that are hiring people to develop links for you, if these are not the type of ideas that they're giving you, and instead what they're telling you is that they're going to get you links from quality forums, move on to the next firm.
Yep.
Look at Miss Linkbaiter here, taking a lot of notes.
One more.
Let's go first. That could be fun.
I know you could bang
Michael
out some
just got-
stories.
You're
for that.
going to make Michael stay here. I hope it's not going to disappoint him, though. I have a feeling that that's going to be like a local directory.
What is it?
Michael's hoping, he's hoping.
What are we doing now?
Apparently I'm spelling it wrong.
Hollywood what?
HollywoodLife.com.
Legs?
Life.
Oh, Michael's so happy.
A gossip rag, really?
So you think it would be me, but you're actually going to get, he's the celebrity whore up.
We both are.
Sorry.
All right.
Who owns this? Okay.
Can we start with your title? So I haven't checked yet, but you have borderline what we like to call wish list titles, which means, you see titles that people wrote where it's just a comma-separated wish list of everything they wish they ranked for. So my question is, when you structure titles, it's really important to focus on the core. Now, for a homepage, that's not too bad. It's a lot of columns. But do you rank for shopping? Probably not. Do you rank for beauty? Probably not. Entertainment, celebrity news, that's probably your core from a traffic standpoint, is going to be the core focus. So what you want to do is when you go through your titles, and then on every page where you have titles like that, start typing those words in, because a lot of times you can dilute the value of a title by trying to target too much. And you end up ranking not so well for a lot of things instead of really well for a couple things.
Okay.
And if you go through that, just take the time. Same thing with your blog post and your topic sections and all that kind of stuff. And try to find, this is a very competitive space.
Yeah, it's really tough.
It's super,
Yeah.
super competitive. So in
People
that kind of
people-
space, Even though you are celebrity news, entertainment style, spend some time doing some keyword research and find, is there a place that you can fit in there, and can you clean up the focus of those titles and get those pages to hit for something that's gonna...
Tell me, are your links all natural?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. He's got 337,
You're
Yeah,
playing Dig, you're still getting through?
and he's got a link from TMZ.com.
You're still getting through with Dig? I see you get some stuff that did really well. Is that old stuff or is that new stuff?
It's new stuff. It's
Good,
it's
good.
ongoing.
Okay, so this post here with the title is a graphic image.
Well, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I can drag it all over the page. So the exclusive, Kate Bosworth and Alexander, right, that post right there, on the home page, it did appear to be an image.
So you use WordPress?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. At some point in time, you guys changed your URL structure to be with keywords in it, which is good.
Okay.
However, all of your old P = type pages are still rendering. So you need to. There's a plugin, isn't there? Which one is it?
Yeah.
To redirect all of the.
It's redirection.
old URLs.
Redirection is the name of the plugin.
Oh, great, thank you.
So what that's going to do is it'll redirect all of the old URLs to the new URLs, and same thing, it'll consolidate the links so that the links are all pointing to one page. And then also another thing that you can do. Hold on 1 second here. Freaking Windows. Okay, so the other thing that you can do is you can use the Canonical plugin for WordPress.
I'm sorry, what, can you say that again?
It's a Canonical plugin, CANONICAL.
It's built in. It's built into 2.9.
Oh, is it built into the newest version?
Yeah, it's
I don't
built
ever
into
upgrade.
2.9.
All right, so upgrade if you haven't upgraded.
Okay, so 2.9, okay.
Yeah. They build in the redirection to that too?
No, redirection separate.
Because it's supposed to be the same, but...
Oh.
Does anybody here not understand what canonical is?
It'll
When you-
automatically use the keyword.
You set in
custom URL.
on the setup page, you put in the URL and it uses what's there. If you want to go and change it, there is a way to do it in the WP-config file. It's one of the obscure settings, but there is a way to do it.
Is it on the editor level?
Okay, the other thing is too is that your 404 pages are rendering a 200
No,
status code.
whichever one you put in.
So
takes.
it says page not found error, but the search engines see this page exists. It's just blank and has the same content on it that every other error page does. So you need to set it up so that you serve an actual, that your not found page serves an actual 404 header code to the search engines.
With this type of site, I'm actually, and some may disagree on this panel, I'm a big fan of no indexing the individual category pages, which I'm finding it funny because you actually have no links to your site for these individual categories, but yet they're all being indexed. Example of that is hollywoodlife.com/topics/style-beauty.
So my take on the categories is getting back to that topic about links versus links with text. In general, a standard WordPress category is pretty worthless because it's just like a sitemap and it's linking. If you're printing the whole post, it's showing content that's also listed somewhere else. There's duplication issues. However, if you use a theme framework where you have the ability to customize your categories and turn them into like home pages, you can get a lot of mileage out of categories as topic pages. So that concept where I was saying your title has too many different topics in it, if you have a style section and you turn that in and treat it more like a home page and put introductory text and make it look like a portal kind of thing, like here's the doorway to our entertainment section, and from there everything leaks out, you can get those pages to rank and they can be very efficient. But in a standard default WordPress environment, they're mostly for spidering.
The way I've seen a lot of people do that is there are some people who will always be in the news, Paris Hilton, for example. So they will go ahead and they will make like Paris Hilton a tag. And this way, every time a Paris Hilton page comes, they tag it with Paris Hilton and they let the tags be indexed. This is probably one of the few site categories where I would let you do that. How you do tags and categories varies from site by site, but you basically want to kind of let them index one version and just let them crawl through the other. There are ways, there's a setting that you can do. You can do no index and follow, And what that does is that lets them, says, don't index this page, but follow all of the links through. So this way they'll get through. So if you have a page that has, 20 pictures about Kim Kardashian and 20 posts, and you don't want that page indexed, but you want the individual posts, this will let all the spiders crawl all the way through.
Sorry, why wouldn't I want it indexed?
For whatever reason, it's like they're different. Every site's different. Yours, with that particular person, you probably would. But what if it wasn't someone who wasn't popular, who didn't do a lot of things that are going to appear in the celebrity news? Maybe they're going to appear once a year, or maybe never again, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, but another thing that I'm just finding weird about how the site was initially set up is that the /topics you can actually not navigate to anywhere on the site. Like if you click an individual post, you'll notice that there's no category listing of this is in this category, this is anything. So basically right now, the way they have it set, it's dead weight on your site. There's the only people that are finding it are the engines, and when the engines do find it, it's being kind of looked as, just duplicate content off the regular posts. So it's kind of hanging out there on a limb. So if you're going to use it, like Greg said, like Michael said, go for it, but put a place in the site where you can find it, where a user can click to it and see all those.
Your site is huge. Your pages are very, very heavy. There's a lot of image code, a lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive.
On this old laptop, it keeps popping up to me, telling me I need an additional plugin.
The tool that I used to look at the speed, you were actually exceeded the file size, which means you were larger than 30 seconds on the T1, which I used before. So try and use tools that when you put images up, to make them smaller as you possibly can. Use thumbnails whenever you possibly can. Use anything you can possibly do. It's really, really going to help in your case because you're really picture and image intensive.
And then that'll help the SEO and not just the user experience?
Yeah, again, it's going to just make your pages load faster, and they're starting to pay attention to that sort of stuff.
The faster your server responds, ultimately, the quicker you'll get crawled. The more often you'll get crawled, the fresher your content will be. There's a lot of, Google will say publicly that, well, we don't really factor server response, but I can tell you that with every project we've ever done where we've dramatically improved the response time for crawling, we rank better. So it's an important thing to do. The final thing that I'll point out to you that'll have probably the biggest impact is your meta descriptions. Meta descriptions are really, really important, not from a keyword stuffing wish list kind of standpoint, but that's the number one thing that engine is going to look at on those category pages to determine if it is in fact unique. And right now you're running the same description. You're running a generic top-level description for the whole site. I'm on the style and beauty page. And the descriptions, Hollywood Life provides the most up-to-date commentary on celebrity news, exclusive photos, videos, stars, blah, blah, right? So on those category pages, you want that meta description to reflect just the topic of that category. That's what's going to show up if that page gets indexed, so that's your call to action to get somebody to click. And it also tells the search engine that this is a unique page, and it's not just near duplicate content kind of thing. So meta description is very important. On Blogger, I have no idea.
No.
On category pages on WordPress, you cannot do it. There are some plugins that let you hack around it, but it's not really.
It's definitely something.
It's an opportunity.
You can find a plugin to do it, and you absolutely should. Or there's a couple ways. In WordPress, you can copy your category file.
Well, and we're talking specifically WordPress, I think was their question, like on a blog.
Right, so with WordPress, we do our own plugins, but we just have a panel where we can say, hey, here's the meta description for this category. You don't need a rocket scientist programmer to come up with that. It's not too difficult, so if you can't find a free plugin to do it, which I'm sure one exists, you can also do it at the you can't do this really with Thesis or a theme like that, but in a traditional WordPress theme, you can copy your category files and create individual header files and handle it that way. So you can manually do it, but your tech person, whoever you get to help you switch, should be able to.
Are you in Google News?
No.
You should try.
So see, the funny thing is, though, is that all these places that are getting stories from you are in Google News.
We don't have we need to get a contributor page. They don't believe
I'm sorry?
They don't believe it. It's a news site, and we need to prove it's a news organization, so we're getting a contributor page made. But
How many authors do you have?
Like 10.
Yeah, no,
And you have
you
profiles?
you don't, I have sites in Google News. You don't need to be a news organization. You just need to go
No,
type
you
in
need to be
submit.
old enough. They're
Huh?
not old- You're not old enough? Is that what you're
Are they
saying?
6 months
You do
old?
need to
It's
show
6
that you
months.
have multiple authors writing on the site.
There's bylines. So I think
It's-
that should be obvious.
It's you have to have 6 months, at least 6 months of blogging, multiple bloggers, more than 2 bloggers on the site.
I think we launched in mid-November, so we might just have crossed.
Okay, so just go to the submission form, submit it, and in the notes, I would actually mention the fact that you're being cited by all the news sources in there, and that you, like yourselves, which are apparently the original ones spreading the news, to be listed as well.
Your current sitemap throws an error, so you might want to look at that.
I'm not getting the error, so I'm trying.
I get nothing, and he gets an error, so we get some
That's
vodka.
because he's using a Google computer.
The other thing that's going to probably help you is if you have a lot of news and you're publishing a lot of posts per day, I've seen advantages to having separate sitemaps just for new pages. They tend to crawl them, rebuild that page every single day with just the new pages in it. They tend to crawl them quicker than if they're inside the big main sitemap.
And that freshness stuff is probably going to be more important over the next 12 months. A big component of this caffeine infrastructure is going to be speed and freshness. So the more signals you can give and the more ways that you can direct with sitemaps to your content that's changing every day or adding, that's going to be a plus for you.
And what are your recommendations for doing that?
I like the idea of on big sites we do individual XML sitemaps per category, and you set the refresh level on those, on the stories that are coming out for that sitemap to be checked daily. RSS feeds and pinging has a lot to do with it, and who's subscribing to your feed. So if you're pushing the content out, but like on your homepage as an example, having a section on your homepage that's updating regularly is going to be a sign that is an alive, fresh page. You're going to see older static kind of content, I think, start sliding away. If you guys remember back in the day, there used to be this thing called the Fresh Bot, where they actually ran 2 different crawlers, and basically what they would do is they'd go out and index content and inject it into the database without factoring all the other algorithm stuff, links and stuff, so you'd see fresh content pop up shortly, and then it would kind of disappear. I don't think that system was real scalable, but I think that concept is coming back in a big way.
You only got about 2,000 followers on Twitter. There's a lot of more people out there for you to get. And
Tell the person who's using your Twitter account, don't be afraid to follow first.
Auto follow everybody talking about Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about Tiger Woods. You take a list of your celebrities and you start auto following those hashtags and stuff and getting tapped into those conversations. And a lot of people those will follow you. And there's a lot of tools. He's Mr. Wicked with Twitter, so there's a lot of tools.
Just be a little careful how you don't go hog wild, let the thing start following, thousands of people a day.
But
Use some restraint.
Don't be scared to, if someone mentions, say, Tiger Woods, and you have an article about Tiger Woods, don't be scared to set up a file, a script that would automatically say at that person, say, hey, check out our article here about that Tiger Woods.
We've done a lot of guerrilla marketing and branding through Twitter very successfully, and one of the biggest things that we found is go to TMZ Online's account. So that's up there right now. There's 24,000 people following them. 10 to 1 if they're interested in the type of information that TMZ is putting out there, they're going to be interested in your information. Follow them to get them to notice you. Yep. They'll click through the site and follow back. Again, don't follow thousands of them a day, but we've very successfully built up extremely large followings on Twitter by basically going to all of our competitors' followers and following them, because we figure if they're interested in them, they'd be interested in us.
Now, over time, you'll probably want to unfollow. This is kind of mean, but so basically, Google came out last week and was talking about how they're going to treat Twitter, and the basic concept is there's going to be authority and trust rank in Twitter users in the same way that they do it with websites. So the idea is that each individual user is going to have a certain level of authority or trust. So when you get retweeted by somebody like Brian Clark or somebody like that has 30,000, he's a very reputable guy, and they can algorithmically tell that. So if somebody like that retweets your post, it's going to have far more value. That's going to be like getting the link on Yahoo. So I think one of the signals, and they didn't say this, but my gut feeling is one of the key signals they'll use to determine that is followers to follow ratio, right? Real prominent people, it's kind of like when I was saying real websites have way more inbound links than they have outbound links. real prominent people on Twitter have far more followers than they follow. So when you go out and auto-follow, the problem that you run into is you'll see these users all the time where they have 10,000 followers, but they're following 12,000 people to get that number. To me, that's an automated bot, or that's somebody who's trying to fake their credibility.